alrighty. We got, the OFBs. We got the OFB with Axe, you know, AKZ plugged in with Fumez Engineer. Got Fumez Engineer, coming in with this one, especially with the Act, the AKZ, the OFBs, and the Acts, the whole OFB, but you got something plugged in engineer, especially, coming in with this one right here and these ones, with the engineers. The engineers, they be having something consume it, especially with the consume it, how they turn around, how they tossed around, but you got with the plugged in, especially with the Fumis and how these, real, come around, but you got with just the plugged in and everything else and just with the engineer.
Plugged in with Fumez.
Mason.
Part 2. Free the guys.
How we see that
Bang for bang, don't get slammed out with a slam. Farm
The simple
blocks.
answer?
You can't shoot at a man and say that he drilled. You ain't drilled, he ain't killed. I swear on my life, I've been on too many rides. I'm a savage, I keep it sealed. Shot it too long, so he chopped it. Now we got. You can't shoot at a man and say that he drilled. You ain't drilled, he ain't killed. I swear on my life, I've been on too many rides. I'm a savage, I keep it sealed. Shot it too long, so he chopped it. Now we got it looking like groundnuts blues. Asked the guys if a few weeks after that plugged in, I did not go riding, I bet it for real. Man, I know rule like savages. Farm lots of rule. You can't shoot at a man and say that he drilled. You ain't drilled, he ain't killed. I swear on my life, I've been on too many rides. I'm a savage, I keep it sealed. Shot it too long, so he chopped it. Now we got it looking like groundnuts blues. Asked the guys if a few weeks after that plugged in, I did not go riding, I bet it for real. Man, I know rule like savages. Farm lots of real life savages.
Ooh, that gets real, it's sticker miss, he said he knows real life savages and everything else, especially with the whole thing, how it just comes through in that whole part, like, especially how it comes through, like you can't drill with a savages that already been, drilling and then doing their whole path, like, hey, it gets real sticky, on both, quarter mints, like it's a sticky miss on both sides, especially how the whole thing, is Tipalick, like you got the whole Tipalick and the whole thing, like especially with these whole things, especially with the whole thing, how this whole thing is, already bouncing and triplism, like it's just coming from another quarter mix.
Figure saw a camera on that glass, I'm gonna go bake at my nana's crib. I don't let the fans them get in my head, cause I know what I'm on, I can manage it. You don't know right, got to get in the car that can handle the dots and manage it. Pissed on, I can manage it. You don't know right, got to get in the car that can handle the get in my head, cause I know what I'm on, I can manage it. You don't know right, got to get in the car that can handle the dots and manage it. Pissed, cause that's bare man.
Ooh, he knows what to do, just like he was managing. Ooh, just like he was managing it, especially how the whole thing, like he said, can't let these guys get in the head, just like he was just like he was managing it. Ooh, like that gets real, all type of, it's athletic.
Crawling, I just touching the yard like the killies from 6, got a Mac at shouting, brawling, press that freestyle barking. Cause I got things from barking, G-League cute, the speed and free guys smart work, 2 man, they all I'm clarting. Had the fuck in the other side charting. Corridor rap cat, they do rap cat, accent rid, that's a mad cat. Throwing the thing and we got down. Dirty should've moved to the right or just ran back. I could be V-class even with stars in the roof, but I still told boss man, fuck that. 5 AM in the Niz right now, I'm the last one left, so I gotta go lock that. Aye, listen to this lifestyle. I know I got a girl in my DMs, do not respond as she's pressing the lights now. To a bro when about to go shoot, man, caught by the dinner, we switched them lights up. Thought it was bad till we backed him up, Kanye, I knocked these lights up. Cullen and cruising with bro on a normal day, and I still got my knife up. The gang just dump off cool and get rid of the F, then we hit up Nighttown. Not really gas at these youths, don't say too much, shit you up when you pipe down. Tryna cut me a 7-barrel pipe and fill it to the brim and make full slide out. Don't wanna see Ram with these rams, cause I bet it's unclipped and he might just wild up. Bad breed from birth, got kicked out of nursery, had like 100 timer. He got packed and he and I still got.
He got packed and he got packed, especially how the whole thing goes. Like it goes all type of, in historical ways, especially how the whole thing, is slippery. It's like, hey, it gets real. Gets real, trickiness and both, connects, especially everything else, connects and triplets. It'd be really expecting, like, you wouldn't be expecting something, to make this way, like, especially how everything else, connects, and then it just turns into a whole storm, like, oof, like everything is just iffy.
My knife up, the gang just dump off cool and get rid of the head, then we hit up Nighttown. Not really gas at these youths, don't say too much shit, you up man, you pack down. Tryna cut me a 7-barrel pipe and fill it to the brim and make full slider. Don't wanna see Ram with these rams, cause I bet it's unclipped and he might just wild up. Bad brew from birth, got kicked out of nursery, had like 100 timer. He got packed and he got packed, you can call it a perfect timer. It's weird that say sons at Binance, now they wanna post up sons at Binance. Copy the gang too much, better mine out. Honda Civic circling, can't see nobody, heads all hurting, just gonna make me dig it and hard when I see these pricks, I make sure I curtain them. Past that time and Fez got me hurting them. Back the FM for the back point blank. What you think, what you reckon? You think I want murdering? Aye, they keep getting packed and they're moving oblivious. Bro got new boss, small like finish. You glad that not spook man, they see this. You just got bad man, gotta get rid of this. I can't trust no idiots. Something got dropped off a damn size and I'm seeing stats everywhere about feeling it. Don't be dumb.
Oh, what? Ooh, hey, the whole thing is getting like something didn't got dropped, but you know, and especially, how everything else is, hey, he said something like something didn't got dropped, and we trying to get iffy. We trying to get iffy away from those things, like, hey, how the whole thing, how everything else, is specs, like, it's just a crazy influence, like, especially how the influence be so, dangerous as a dangerous, pocket stick.
Just no idiots. Something got dropped off a damn size and I'm seeing stats everywhere about feeling it. Don't be dumb.
Fumez, the engineer.
Hey, this one right here though, this one coming in, this was deep. Like, how the whole thing went, like, from just everything, everything at once. Like, it just went from a 9 to a 10, especially with this one, a 9 to a 10, I guess one a whole 10, because this one was a crazy, it was a crazy engineer one, like, especially how the whole thing went and everything else went, like, it just went from a something else, especially how the whole thing just trooper sized and everything else, how everything was trooper sized and everything which just went base to base and tripled it. But you got what just the OFB, OFB AKZ coming in with this one and everything else. But make sure you guys definitely check this one out. Everything else, most definitely, and all that other stuff. But with this one.